Is also on the streets, British anarchists, many of them colourful punk rockers, gathered around the city's financial institutions to protest business involvement in the arms race. Nearly 1,000 police were on the streets to counter the Stop the City protest and arrested more than 400 demonstrators.
Anarchists and nuclear disarmers. Police arrested more than 470 people and charged them with a range of offences, including obstruction and assault.
360 people are arrested and police are injured in a city demo. 360 people were arrested and 2 policemen were injured when demonstrators tried to bring the City of London to its knees today. Windows were smashed and smoke bombs set off as police clashed with many of the 2,000 protesters. They were there to demonstrate at the way they claim that big business backs, among other things, the arms race. Simon Neve has this report.
At the height of the demonstration, the square mile of the city looked like a battlefield. The protesters included peace groups, campaigners against the fur trade, and anti-apartheid organizations. The clashes began early in the day as police, who'd had warning of the demonstration, tried to keep the roads and pavements free of campaigners.
1,000 protesters tried to bring the financial heart of London to a standstill in what they described as a Stop the City demonstration. It centred on the Stock Exchange, the Bank of England, and was timed to coincide with the ending of the financial year. Hundreds of demonstrators were encircled by a police line in the hope that it would stop the violence. But as angry demonstrators tried to break out, there were frequent scuffles. Police feared they might have been outnumbered during the early part of the demonstration as the numbers of protesters and arrests began to rise. City of London, Metropolitan and police officers from outside London were brought in to control the crowd. But the scuffles continued and a number of smoke bombs were thrown into the crowd. At times, traffic was halted. The arrests far outnumbered what the police were expecting, and a special court was set up to deal with offenders. Had been outnumbered during the early part of the demonstration as the numbers of protesters and arrests began to rise.
The police were out in force. Key buildings were ringed. Police horses were standing by in side streets. The aim of the demonstration was to stop the city. By sheer weight of numbers, the police stopped that happening. For most of the day, groups of protesters, most of them with punk hairstyles and clothes, roamed the streets. But as soon as a large crowd began to form, the police moved in and dispersed the demonstrators, sometimes making as many as 60 arrests at a time. The offences ranged from obstruction and possessing aerosol sprays for daubing slogans to assault on the police and causing criminal damage. About a dozen windows were smashed, most of them in banks. Some demonstrators complained that the police had used undue force when making arrests. Others said that the police had been arresting people indiscriminately.
Police van stopped. They put 2 people in. He said, how much room have we got? He said, we've got room for 6 people. And so the guy said, right, let's have 6 of this lot coming along now. And he went, that one, and that one.
Dan, pity I didn't make you one of them.
It began as the demo that never was. Then the arrests started. Many of them occurred at St. Paul's, where the anarchist protesters gathered on the steps of the cathedral. Then windows were smashed and more arrests followed. The youngsters planned a repeat of the protest in March, when almost 400 of them were arrested, demonstrating against the arms trade, city business and animal cruelty. A huge police presence prevented large groups forming on the streets. Individuals were stopped and searched, some were arrested. The Thames News crew got a verbal warning.
If you stop one more time, you'll be arrested. Move on, please.
The bizarrely dressed protesters walked aimlessly and leaderless. There were leaflets but no placards. Some of the would-be demonstrators said they were prevented by police from crossing London Bridge for the city. Others had more urgent preoccupations. The protesters, who today were outnumbered by police, say they're now planning a bigger demo in September. Mark Wadsworth in the City, Thames News.